And money.
And blood.
Blood.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes? Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Filipino Freethinkers podcast. That's also a video and also part of this webathon. I'm Red.
I'm Talia.
I'm Fisher.
Kenneth.
I'm Georgie. And I'm Jamie.
And I'm Red. Okay, we're going to
Really?
talk about one of the suggested topics of one of the first few people who actually donated to Red Cross because of this thing. We're going to talk about the claim that believers are more generous at giving to charities than non-believers are. So we're going to talk about whether that is the case, and we're going to talk about reasons why it is or is not the case. So, let's get it started. What are the studies? What do the studies say about this?
Right. Empirically speaking, it's very easy to determine this simply by going around the table, giving our religious affiliations or none, and then the exact amount that we've given so far for Yolanda. No, I'm just kidding.
That wouldn't be anecdotal at all. That would be
No,
a
that would
statistically,
be statistically relevant
representative.
sample.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, but no. Seriously though, one of our people here has done the research on it, and it does appear to be the case that believers do give more. But there's a caveat to that, and it is that giving to their own churches as part of their tithing responsibilities count as giving.
Well, and that's a huge amount already.
It's a huge amount.
Like
If you follow
that's a straight
the
up
recommended
percent.
10% for the conservative
Well,
group,
that's INC.
no, it's a
and it's a recommendation.
Bible
for-
thing, yeah.
Right. But in terms of tithing, I don't know if any, like for example, in the Episcopalian Church, it's not. I mean, it's in the Bible, but you give what you're able. Yeah.
You could give 50 cents.
Granted, yeah, no, whatever. Like,
Yeah.
but it's considered impolite to keep demanding money from you. Although there is a cultural divide, at least like within our church, the Westerners, they're more
So
inclined.
to be
like,
clear, just to give you more context, Ken is a member of the Episcopalian Church.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right. So the Westerners, because we have a lot of expats, the Westerners tend to like their ideas. You don't badger people for money. There are some, the ethnic Chinese community, especially those with more evangelical backgrounds. They do think that you should badger people for money, and that there's no shame in it. And then everybody else is just kind of whichever.
So the middle, between
Yeah.
the two extremes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you get wide, right? But as it is decided in the council, we usually end up with like you remind them maybe once a month. There's two ways of giving it. You can it's either the loose plate offerings, which is just the usual collection, and then there's the pledge. I'm not sure how the pledge system works for Catholic churches, but at least for Episcopalian ones, that's where you sign up at the start of the year. It's like, this year I'm going to give this much, or even this month. And you have like a little envelope, and you're saying, and then you give them like a check, or you commit to give. And that usually, often, is much larger than even your loose plate offering. So at least if you're looking for a behind-the-scenes thing on it.
Based on my experience, it's certainly true that I have given less to causes since I became a non-believer. Like when I used to be a believer, I used to give regularly every Sunday when they would sing the Give Money song.
What is the give money song, right?
Is it Give Thanks with a Grateful Heart or
Depends on the choir.
Depends on the-
It's usually on offertory part.
Yeah, the offertory.
like
It
Lord,
changes.
teach me to be generous, teach me to serve you. Yeah, that's the Give Money song. And when they that feeling in my heart, I really have give money to Jesus. Of course I don't think that I'm giving money to people who would potentially use it to settle out of court the child abuse cases. Of course I'm thinking, this is my giving money to God. Of course there's no way that you can actually make sure that it gets directly to whatever you want. And that's an issue I have with giving to churches, actually. Accountability. There's zero accountability to when it comes to church donations. And there was that whole
At least for
controversy,
the-
right? Do you
yeah,
remember
no.
in Rappler? Was it published in Rappler? Margie!
What? Sorry.
Like, was it Rappler that published this series of articles about how money that was donated to churches weren't
I believe
used for
they
Was it
publish
Iris Rufo,
excerpts
or-
from a book by Iris Rufo.
Yeah. So yeah, you could check that out. Here's the link that will be embedded during the post processing of this podcast episode.
Right, now that's true. You have no actual control. Well, again, to my own horn, in the Episcopal Church, we make sure to publish the accounts every month. So everybody
you
knows
go.
exactly where their money
So that's how
goes.
you do it. I think
And
that's
if you don't like it, then you can lobby your representative.
I do think there has to be some accountability in terms of where the money the money goes.
I-
Like
that's it.
especially in the case of the Catholic Church, they have
I'm
second
surprised.
donations.
Parishes
and,
don't
you
do
know,
that though. I'm surprised. I'm not. I'm
They
not
don't
so
have
familiar.
to. They don't have to. They have their own accounting, but they're not required to. And of course, when you're not required to do something,
Well, I can tell you that
generally-
that is always a concern of ours. Like whenever we spring for some new thing, we just discuss on the council like, oh man, how are we gonna justify this? Well, you better make sure the people know.
yeah,
So
and
you're saying this is not a consideration at all in the
I
Catholic
don't see that in the
setting?
Catholic
No.
Church at all.
Okay.
And the interesting thing is that people are not interested to know. That's
They
part
trust.
Of, that's
It's
part of the beauty of it. You give, you feel good, and you're done.
Yeah.
So it's
You're
a less.
spent, yeah.
It's it. You're not as engaged. It's like that
No.
Terry Pratchett novel where there's a kingdom that's becoming a democracy, and all the subjects are like, we don't want to rule ourselves. That's your job, king.
Exactly.
yeah, there's no voting on where the money goes to.
Ah.
That's
Nothing.
completely the call of whoever the archbishop of your place
That's
is.
one way to run a church, I guess.
Yeah, and I think that's
It's
the
been
only way
working.
the Catholic Church has been run so far. I'm interested to see if the current pope will introduce some reforms on that regard.
But I understand that's the most that's the most controversial stuff, right? I mean, he talks about the social issues and things, but the things that the Vatican political machine really cares about is when he starts talking about things like anytime a statement includes the words Vatican Bank.
Like the mafia has
That's the
threatened
time,
him, right? Like,
yeah, that's the time when suddenly the real
I mean
power
the
players,
mafia. Yeah, not the Vatican.
not the yeah. That's when the real power players start to get uppity, when he starts talking about
when it has
uh,
to do with money.
with money, because there are a lot of serious problems with how money is handled in Rome, and it is very opaque, and they would much rather it not be revealed.
Yeah. So, what about you guys? What's your experience on giving? You're both non-believers, and you were believers at one point.
Yes.
So, do you have a similar experience?
Well, for me, I never got to the point where I would personally give to the church. Like my mom would hand me here's a 20 peso bill, put it in the basket when it passed by. Because I stopped going to church at about 10.
So you're 15 now. What is your experience now? Like 5 years.
5 years along.
Yeah.
But it hasn't been that long, so
So you still remember, right?
shut up.
Okay, so Pisher, what about you? Like, how much did I usually give?
Well,
50 maybe?
I
don't
can
know.
remember
Pesos?
that not just in terms
Yeah.
of monetary value, but in terms of the effort I exerted. I exerted a lot more effort to help to aid charity when I was a believer, and it has something to do with the machinery that's already there, and that's easy to utilize. You have a church building, you have your fellow church attendees. You go there on a Sunday or a Saturday.
There's a machine.
Yes.
There's a slot for the cog that is you.
Indeed, there is, and it's easier to move that way. It's far easier.
It's convenient.
It's convenient.
Yeah, it's
and
systematic.
It's systematic. There is an organization already, and this organization, first it works from the local level. It starts grassroots, but it's connected to all these other organizations. Are connected to organizations outside the country. And so it's just easier, which brings me again to that topic that you asked earlier. Red asked this question
Yeah.
earlier. Like, would it be good for non-believers to have an analog of a church? If not a church itself, but something like a church.
If secular groups like us had a more systematic option that's still humanist, then maybe more people would donate.
Yeah, as a case in point, that we could look at the example of humanist organizations in the United States and the way they organize relief efforts for the victims of Hurricane Katrina, for instance, or for the victims of the Haiti earthquake, or Hurricane Sandy, which is a much later instance, we could really see that the students find it easier to organize, not just the students, the teachers, everyone, all people who identify themselves as humanists, secular humanists. They find it easy to donate. Because here's the thing, it's not just laziness, perhaps part of it is laziness, but part of it is also a kind of positive laziness that makes you think, will my effort, right, be worth it? Like, I don't want to expend a lot of effort for something that won't make a very big difference.
So it's a drop in the bucket kind of thing,
Indeed.
like a
Yeah,
drop in
it's the sort
the ocean.
of intellectual. It's what you see in a lot of Facebook statuses. Also, it's like, I want to give. How do I give?
Yes.
Because I'm aware of the old channels of giving, and I'm aware that, I mean, there is a surfeit of trust in large institutions right now.
Indeed. And these organizations basically provide your effort leverage.
Yeah.
That's really what they give.
Everything seems to have a minus, like the larger ones, right? You have the government stuff, and then we worry about political infighting, with the whole Romualdez Noy Noy thing. You have local government units, but again, same problem. You have say even almost anything you have reason to suspect. Even the Red Cross, which we are asking people to donate, so please do donate. Even the Red Cross is being headed by Dickface Gordon. So you don't. How do you parse that?
The opinions of the Filipino freethinkers are not reflected by Kenneth's Dickface Gordon remark. So, yeah.
Right. However, it is. But although, for the record, it's being run by a lot of really good, hardworking people, who are not Dickface Gordon. So please do give to them, and their work is felt on the ground, which is why we're recommending them. But even then, right? There's a reflexive kind of. Everything seems off. Where do I go? At least with the church, you can kind of think, well, God blesses this, so I'm
There's
good.
divine sanction for what they do.
Well, and also you're right in the organization, like with Ateneo right now, like a shout out to
Yeah.
the
Exactly.
Loyola
In fact,
volunteers.
I'm going
where-
there later.
Animo!
Without repacking.
Why don't we-
Animo,
that's
DSWD
not-
repacking in
It's
LaSalle.
Animo is
And then also-
Exactly, we are LaSalle.
We are LaSalle.
Alright.
Family
I'm
owned.
going to Ateneo later
Alright.
tonight to help.
Repacking.
Right, they're doing
DSWD
good.
repacking in LaSalle.
Right,
Oh,
so
right now.
Yes,
they're
so
doing,
as
and
Ken was
UP,
saying,
the schools seem to be doing well. That's a Jesuit school. That's a whatever religion LaSalle has. It's
Yeah, but that's the thing. There are actually different venues. So why do people keep sticking to the church? Like, for example, when I was in the Catholic school, we used to give because we have masses like every first Friday or every other month or whatever, and we give, but we don't know where it goes. But at the same time, in that same school, there's another mechanism that allows us to have these projects, and we know where the money is actually going to. So I think it's a matter of just looking for the right medium on where to give and how to give. And for some reason, those churchgoers are, well, as Peter has mentioned, lazy, maybe positively lazy, to not actually find a medium for them.
I think it's a lot of it is conditioning, really.
Yeah.
Like, churchgoers do this every week, so they're used to it. The stress associated with the
just a bit more.
giving of money is lessened when you have been doing it a lot more. Also, there's the social aspect
yes.
Yes.
of the person next to you giving. Let's say that person gave 1,000, like a bill, you saw, and then you had $20.
There was
Like
a-
you were planning to give 20 and
But you see
1,020.
someone-
There was
Maybe-
actually a social experiment
Yeah.
conducted that validates that point. That
Yeah.
when you have somebody coming before somebody who's given money, the
Yeah.
tendency to
give
give
more.
goes up.
Top the
Yes.
Yeah, so it's really a social conditioning thing. It's social proof. You see someone give,
You
you
think
also give yourself.
You talk about donations and charities,
Yeah.
but like, do you count the piece here, like the time that you've spent in advocacy work, for example, which of course none of us are being paid for? Do you consider that to be like part of what you're giving, like in terms of, like I remember you were there sleeping with everybody else in the Occupy RH. That
sounded
could have
so
been phrased
bad.
better. but you know, that was a
in your
good
context.
solid 40 plus hours more.
That is in fact a good point. And I guess that we can also connect this to the people who are helping the relief efforts through their churches. Many of them, well, I was not just thinking of the social aspect when it comes to giving monetary donations. I'm thinking of the social aspects of exerting effort, like giving your time. 'Cause for
Time
many
is
of
money.
and yes, and for many of these people, when they help through their church, it's not much of an effort because of, again, the social aspect of it. You are repacking with your friends.
Yeah.
You're having a donation drive with people you are familiar with. Whereas, for example, if I go to Red Cross, and I went to the Red Cross
Alone.
you go there alone,
Forever.
you walk in, you show them your Red Cross ID, and you repack goods with people who are not your friends. It's great. It's a great opportunity to meet new friends. But that sense of community, that
It's
sense that
gone.
you are socializing with people that you need to socialize with because you see them every Sunday, and even perhaps on other days as well, that is lost when you are helping in an organization composed of people who are strangers to you. And that is one advantage really of helping through your church.
So it's not
These
really a
people who are
church,
helping
no?
through their church or their religious organizations or other organizations, they don't feel like they're giving out as much. Like in the same case that when we all donated our time and even our money, our energies for our advocacies, right? We didn't feel like we were giving that much because we were enjoying it at the same time.
Yeah.
I was going to say, kasi ako, when I was a believer, which was really because was a kid,
Yeah.
I wasn't really interested also in helping out. When I became an unbeliever at around high school, I was not that interested either, although I was interested in being able to change people's views because I was, I had different views. But the funny thing is, the moment I had a community of people who had similar values to me, I became more of a giver. So I think it has something to do with the fact that you belong to a group. Because when you're all alone, when you're an unbeliever, number one, you start off alone. So you start to have that feeling that you're not really as connected to the rest of the world as you should be. Whereas people who belong to a church, you already have that as a default.
Yeah.
But the moment you reconnect to a group or a community, I notice that that sense of community is kind of like rebuilt in you, and then you have a need to give back to the community. And it's possible it has nothing to do really with people belonging to the church, but simply because unbelievers are really starting off as simply just starting off to belong to groups.
Yeah, and it's I think it's a fact that
Yeah.
many even sciences have shown that human beings are social creatures. Like we prefer to be part of something that's more than us. Even that sense of belonging to something bigger, like contributing to a bigger cause. It's part of our needing to our social needs as social creatures.
Would you say that? Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Would you say that there's a burgeoning, I'm not sure if you call it a relief culture or a culture where, because it just seems, at least this is just my personal experience, it seems, and I'm not sure what other factors there were, but it seems like it started around Ondoy, when suddenly everybody became familiar with a relief center and packing goods and going there and helping out with Red Cross or whatever large conference area. And then now every large storm, it's become the thing. Like you, even with your friends, like you ask, okay, it's relief time. And now we're almost going post relief center. We're going like, okay, we did that last time. What else can we do? Like what more can we do? Would you say that that's something that started around?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
is this something that's been going on for a long
A
time?
lot of people have
But it's
been
just
doing
that I haven't seen it because I wasn't old enough yet or what?
The Bayanihan system was there
For-
for quite a long time.
Yeah, there was
For a lot of people, Ondoy made it personal. It was close to home because it was
Suddenly we all knew
Literally,
somebody whose homes
like
were
their
Yes.
homes.
Were destroyed.
When it happened to us, like
Yeah.
we were 2 floors deep in water.
yeah.
So when we helped, like it was really immediate. Like we felt that we're helping now because if we didn't have the capacity to help, it would be other people who would be helping us. It's a tit for tat kind of thing. For now, we'd like to say thank you for watching and
donate.
Yes.
donate
Help
to
out.
the
Donate
to the
some
Red
more.
Cross.
Donate your time.